Think about it. That's 90% of people rejected before they even get through the door. The training is intense. The students are practicing 7 and 8 hours every day. And they have been doing something like that since they were, some of them, 5 and 6 years old. Such is the pressure. The pressure to achieve is colossal. Some fail simply from the pressure. Some go a little bit, shall we say, they have psychological breakdowns. In fact, there was a movie made called Schon. Did anybody see the movie Schon? Okay, well, I'm sorry to say it, but it was set at the Royal College of Music. And that's where David Heathcote had his mental breakdown, if you like. But for the ones who survive, there is still huge disappointment, because when they leave, there are not the opportunities for them. And these are people who've devoted their whole lives to studying and mastering an instrument. But having said that, there are in any year at the college perhaps 1 or 2 students who you can say are truly blessed. Students who the college think could be the great stars of the future, because when they play, something unique happens. They become part of their instrument, and every note has a meaning. Now, Celebrity and the Royal College have collaborated, and the college have agreed to send not a student, but someone who has passed through their doors recently and is now in the real world, who they think the world of, who they think is probably one of the greatest flute players of the younger generation. She's here now. I'm very honored to play for her, but I want you to give her a magnificent, warm welcome. Please welcome to our stage to play for us this afternoon, Andrea Amat. Andrea's first language is Spain. She is from Valencia in Spain, and so she very kindly said to me that I could introduce the program. And she wouldn't be here if she hadn't. So I'm teasing you. So we're going to play Andrea is going to play 2 pieces to begin with, one of which was originally written for the piano. It's written, there was a craze in Europe about 200-300 years ago for what they called Turkish music. And Turkish music was music which had drums and bells going on in it, sort of percussion effects. This was new to Europe at the time, and they'd come down, that effect had come down with the Turkish armies. Now, people wanting to play this Turkish effect, they had pianos, and they had attached to the piano a pedal which worked a drum or a cymbal. It sounds hideous, but they really loved having these things. Now, the point is this. A lot of rubbish was written to be used for this, but there was a rich nobleman who had a piano, he had his drums, he had his bells and all the rest of it, and he wanted a piece of music just written for him to use this toy with. And he asked Mozart to write him something. And Mozart, being a genius, wrote a fabulous piece of music that he could use his toy with. Now, we don't bother with the percussive effects, but when you hear the piece, you can guess where they would have been played. The piece of music is called the Turkish Rondo, the Rondo alla Turca. We will play that to start, and then we're going to follow it with a piece written by Kreisler, which he wrote for the violin. He wrote a lot of what we might call lollipop type pieces, which he used as encores, and in his early life he pretended that he had not written them because he thought people would be disparaging of them, but later the truth came out, he had written it. He calls the piece Beautiful Rosemary, which raises the question, who was she? Because his wife was called Harriet. Rondo alla Turca, followed by Beautiful Rosemary. I need more lines. Okay. I'm not Stevie Wonder. long stories about Kreisler. One is actually that I just told you how everyone works so hard and practices 7 or 8 hours a day, and Kreisler, after the age of 12, hardly bothered to practice at all, which actually, so the story goes, caused him a tremendous problem, because he was once playing a concert, so the story goes anyway, with Rachmaninoff. He played with Rachmaninoff a lot, and the story goes that they were playing in Carnegie Hall, and Kreisler was playing without the copy, as Andrea is this afternoon, but Rachmaninoff was using the copy, and poor Kreisler, apparently in the middle of a Beethoven violin sonata, he forgot it. He forgot where he was, and apparently he was just sort of trying to vaguely make up what he thought it might be, and he sidled over to Rachmaninoff and hissed at him, "Where are we?" And Rachmaninoff replied, "Carnegie Hall." Which, whether it's true or not, and I think it could be, sums up Rachmaninoff's very laconic sense of humor. He was famous for his laconic sense of humor, and yes, I will. You know, he wrote this wonderful romantic. I know she's patient. He wrote wonderful romantic music. But if you've seen Rachmaninoff, he was 6'6", and he had very short hair like a convict. It's a fact. He had a convict. And he often had a very sort of morose expression on his face. Stravinsky described Rachmaninoff as a 6'6" scowl. So anyway, that's not really what I want to tell you. We're going to play. When Andrea was building the program for this afternoon, I suggested to her that we didn't want all lollipops. We'd like something, shall we say, substantial, as you would with a meal. And she's going to play the first movement from the flute sonata by Poulenc, which hopefully nobody knows here, so it will be absolutely fresh to you. When we're playing Mozart, or when we're playing Beethoven or Brahms, or the great composers of the 18th and 19th century, and you're learning them, it's pretty obvious whether you're playing it correctly or not, because it, shall we put it this way, it sounds right if it's right. But when you got into the 20th century, composers started trying to learn new languages, and they put a lot of dissonance in their music. And so that really the maxim was, if it sounds right, it's probably wrong. Check it out, and then you know, some of you have heard work music by Stravinsky or Hindemith, and the first time it can be very hard to listen to because there are so many clashes of sounds, not the harmonies we expect. Poulenc actually is pretty easy to listen to. A teacher at school once said to me, "Oh, Poulenc's no problem. You just stick on Mozart with wrong notes." So I'll leave that with you. It's the most lovely piece of music, though. He wrote it in the 1950s. He was a French composer, and I think really I don't want to say anything else to you except just listen to it. Enjoy the glorious sound of the flute, the rather unusual clashes sometimes in the harmonies, and it's just perfection, really. Okay. Wow. Okay. We thought, remember when I started the program, I said some of what I'm going to say you're going to know. You know, when I was young, I asked a lot of questions. But when I got into my 20s, I thought, I daren't ask about that. People will think I'm ignorant. And I sort of went through life, often not knowing, or still am, not knowing what I think perhaps I should know. But the reason I say this, I thought we'd tell you a little bit about the flute. Because, I mean, you all know what a flute is, you've all seen a flute, but it's just possible that some of you don't know perhaps some of the basics of the flute. So forgive me if you do and you find this boring, but I have a hunch that many of us will find this very interesting indeed. First of all, Andrea is going to, yeah, and if we can have the cameras, if we can. I didn't actually warn them, so they may not have it ready. But I just want to say, the flute is the oldest of instruments. They found flutes going back 43,000 years. They found them in Germany. The oldest one is 43,000, and then the next one I think is 37,000. But they certainly didn't look like the flute that Andrea has got here. The flute Andrea has got here, it's in three pieces, but the whole body, yes, a bit there, and a bit there, and then it all falls to pieces, so you can take it on an aeroplane without them asking weird questions. Like, what is this? Weapon of mass destruction. And it's what Andrea is holding now, and this is guaranteed to grab you, by really grab you. She is holding a gold flute. It is made of gold. It is a very, very valuable instrument. Now the sound is made just, if you just turn people so they can see, the camera hasn't, oh, it has come on, I beg your pardon. Yes, you see at the top there, that's the hole, which Andrea is unique amongst the wind instruments. For example, when you play a trumpet, your mouth is against the hole, and the way you blow it, etc., which are in touch with the instrument. With an oboe and clarinet, similarly. With the flute, you're not. You rest the flute against your lower lip, and then you blow. You tell me you blow into it, is that correct? I used to try and play, I always tried to blow across it, and now I know where I went wrong. But if you blow into it, and that's the way the sound is made. Now, the thing about it is that size. Now, I don't know if you know this, if you want to make a low note, you have to have a long tube, and if you have to want a short note, you have a high note, you have a short tube. Similarly on the piano, if you have a high note here, you have a very short string here to make that sound. But in the bass, you have longer strings to make the bass sounds. That's why the piano is shaped in the way somebody once said they thought it was a rather large opera singer had leant against it, but it's not true. That's quite good picture. That's the way it is. Now with the flute, this is where, when Andrea blows there, she can make the pipe longer or shorter, and the reason she can do that is she can press down the keys. At the moment, all the keys are up, so the air actually starts coming out there, so she's got a short pipe. As she goes down, pressing the keys, it becomes longer, that's correct, and the notes go downwards. Can you just show? Just play a C, perhaps. Right, that's a C, and then if she goes down one, it's really good. Years of training. But you can see how as she made the pipe longer, did you know that, by the way, or am I boring you here? No, okay. I think we've covered it. Is there anything else I need to say about it? No, all right. You know it all anyway. So, just one thing. I've told you how you do it. Now then, as you can see, the amount of notes coming out of the flute do not correspond with the number of keys on. And so then, there's a little bit extra the flautist has to do. With the same fingering, the way they blow it, they can make the same note, correct? Just show us. Keep the fingering.